Good evening. 10 o'clock. As soon as I get off here, I'm going to take a hot bath and wash my hair. You know what I really don't understand is how we could send millions or spend millions of dollars on a war overseas that, um, either way you look at it, doesn't benefit me at all financially or any other way. But here in the United States, in St. Louis, Missouri, we can't even put one policeman that murdered a child in jail. We have policemen walking around saying, "I'm Darren Wilson." Darren Wilson's the guy that just emptied his gun into this child's head. They're saying, "Well, he stole some cigars." Okay, every movie that you ever see about criminals is white people. White people stereotype is criminals. Yes, the propaganda is, well, anyway, I don't understand why. If they want to fight, if they want to kill people, send them over to ISIS or what? The police are scared that in the Middle East they might shoot them back. That they're not playing games. That they don't see that shit as toys. The game, you know what I'm saying? It's fucking disgusting. It is very outrageously disgusting. It doesn't make any type of sense because if we have one person that's above the law, then we have no laws. You want to know who's above the laws? It's the ones that are pulling the people in the service industry. When Ronald Reagan talked about service industry, the police, you are in a service industry. You're at the bottom of their totem pole. What are you supposed to do? Yeah, you are supposed to make chaos and mayhem because that's what we got. We don't have any laws or justice. All we have is a bunch of these crazy, racist, fanatic white Christians that think that they're above everybody else in their judgment. Well, if it weren't so trifling and roguish and downright just murderers, I mean, it's disgusting, you know. But here we are in this perpetual war ever since the white man crawled out of the ass because he acts like he's not part of the human race. We got women, they're just ashamed to even be human because being human, to breastfeed, to do anything like that would prove that you're a human. It's not what's going on, you know. I mean, I know in this neighborhood before they started the war on drugs, this used to be a really nice area. A very very nice working class area where yeah they still grew a lot of their crops and they still did a lot of things by the cleverness of their minds, but not anymore. I visited the school. I was very it saddened me, deeply saddened me that these kids they really don't stand a chance, especially these black kids, because anyway, and then like this one lady, she I guess her job is to watch the boys while they're in the bathroom. They have no privacy. It looks like you go into school these days with the monitor and everything. It looks like a modern day prison sort of situation, but you know. And so the kids are getting monitored all the time. They're not even worried about them learning anything. They're really not. They're worried about like they're babysitting them. They got these big signs about "Oh, beware a gun." So I asked this lady who's gawking in the boys' bathroom. So she goes running out there because the boys are having, like they had the brief bag, their backpacks down, and they exchanged a little. Like, well, like if they was puppies, I would say, they were playing. That's probably their first real thing of learning. They weren't doing anything I saw like sexual or they shouldn't even know anything about it. And if they do, maybe they need to check. Anyway, the lady was terrible. The lady came out. The other lady that she ran after those two boys that they got in trouble for just acting out like humans. So that's out. This boy's gonna be erased. They're just gonna be trained that the only thing they need is to jeopardize women and like, oh, all these kids on this school, Ford Road over here in Mitchell, all of them, they go from there and they go to Mitchell House. All of them is the dope dealers hanging out in front of Tony's store over there on Kings and Ford Road. I think like if they don't become dope dealers, they become police or work with or they take a six after they get out of high school. They take a 6 week course and drive an ambulance. Or, so after they go all these years to go to school, they can't get out and get a job. They haven't taught them nothing how to get a job. But I notice now why I do have to babysit. They train them to be babysit because if I have anybody work around here, you really have to babysit. And even when I taught, I wasn't gonna be a babysitter. I'm not. I could give information. You know what I'm saying? And if these teachers don't know more than a 7, 8, or 9-year-old, maybe they need to check themselves. They should have learned something. Like she's in her 20s, 25. She should have learned something. She should have had some input besides gawking at these kids, running after these kids, and trying to stop them from doing activities that will engage them in being more clever. You know what I'm saying? And so that they could think. But anyway, so they just run around harassing, bully. So you want to know why? You want to know why they got bullied in school? Oh yeah, cause anyway, so we're waiting to find out what others. I'm ready to leave because as far as I'm concerned, they could just send that off with a cheap little, envelope and stamp, in the mail that and then But anyway, so we try to return the books back. They want to check and all this, so they come back and like, oh well, there's some book, and she rattles it off really fast. And I notice like I get that with the kids where they'll say something and their tone will go down. Well, I can't hear any fucking way, so I hate whispering. I hate people that go because that shit is outrageously loud. But she's like, I'm like, this bitch is just moving on. I'm like, I'm never gonna remember that name. You need to write that down or do something. Well, I'm getting Xerox it. I'm like, well, you could have simply just wrote it down. She just looked at me like I heard her. So she goes and I'm like, don't forget to circle it. And so then I call Grandpa over. I'm like, here, Grandpa, make sure you give him this because he's already gawking at the TV screen. They got a TV screen, and his car is parked right in the no parking zone. So he's like the whole time he's engulfed. I couldn't believe how like they're just engulfed in the TV. I don't have a TV in here. But anyway, I got 3 TVs around, but I don't have any of the new plasmas and um, you know, and that's one thing is since they can't really do without TV, and you ask somebody to help you hook something up, they're not gonna do that because they're such a narcissist. TV, you know. I grew up with not watching TV, and then lots of times I was very disappointed in television, like The Neighbors. I grew up in New York. I ain't never seen the only white people we had were like basically when like their ancestors came from Edison Island or just came over from a war zone. If they came from Edison Island, all the women they was like if they were married, they was put out on 42nd Street, prostitution. So mostly the white people were definitely criminals. They copy stuff. They would change things. It's like the computer, right? This is like a typical white invention. Take a telephone, a typewriter, a teletape, what they used to call it with the stock market, and the television, and poof, So as far as I see, I haven't seen anything new. I see them do new roads to tear down, long existing African American nowadays. But I hate that term African American because I actually have met some people that was Caucasian that were born in Africa, and they're like, oh, I'm African American, and at that time I didn't know that we had switched over to African American. I'm like, well, I don't know who the fuck you talking to. I'm just black, and like I was like, baby, they don't know English. I'm a negrita. Don't get confused. Back then, nigger was not a bad word, and negro wasn't a bad word. It just meant just derived from the Spanish word that meaning black, negro, uh, negrita if you were female, and that Spanish word was derived from the country of Nigeria rather, Nigeria. Never been Africa, but anyway, and supposedly in Nigeria the people everybody's worshiping Jesus. He was from a place uh, somewhere in there. Oh, forgot. Ellen used to talk about that. But anyway, that's where that's supposedly derived from. But anyway, I'm very disgusted. They can't. They can't. The police running around think that they have the right to murder. They got white folks running around with automatic machine weapons. You know, if you're trying to make American terrorists, I think that it's you're gonna do a good job, but I think it's gonna be the people that are that have for centuries been you know from war-ridden areas and with that war mentality, sort of like the police in San Luis and Fargo, where they think that they're scared of a group that that basically really don't want nothing to do with you. As far as I'm concerned, like Jerry's like talking about, well, don't you want company or I just like because he doesn't like to be alone. He's big. I love being alone. I don't want no damn company because they're gonna invade on like like make me have to get up and get them this, get them that, or where's this at or where that at, and all this bullshit. Sneaking eat food instead of what I'm saying just all this bullshit, what I'm saying? Just, I mean, I'm not with all that shit, making all fucking noise. And of course, they ain't a TV in here, so the first thing they're gonna do is take them all fucking evening to hook up the TV. I got cable and shit, but I'm getting ready to get rid of fucking cable. Really, with the police harass me so much, because like first, what was his name? Reggie. Do you watch the news? I listen to the news while I'm cooking, or I listen to something. I'm saying I don't. The news, the local news, they just don't give the who, what, where, and why of a crime or any situation. So if I'm not getting any information out of it, I'll go to another source if I'm interested. I'll go to the horse's mouth, as we used to say when I was young. I don't need my secondhand information from some fool. But anyway, so gosh, I just so anyway that fool there. I don't even. I'm just so disgusted. It's so disgusting. It's it's pretty disgusting that we have a country that we have or well we don't even have a secret service that can do his job. I remember when Clinton went in office right after Whitewater where the Clintons got all their funding and their money by embezzling and blackmailing and basically stealing property and money from the poor people of Arkansas to get in their position. Which I never liked Clinton, but everybody was going around because you're an African American, that's your president. I actually didn't vote for Clinton. I liked the Bush better at that time because I thought Clinton was such a horrible person, such an evil person, such a racist, coke fiend, homemonger, and he turned, what I'm saying, and I understand his high blood pressure because I had the same problem. What I'm saying, like recognize like, except for here. Anyway, I mean, I ain't no fucking homemonger. I ain't, what I'm saying? I don't got nothing. And I think that the way we objectifies women, what we done to women, is the direct correlation to what's wrong with our children, and the reason why we have police that are white and think that for some reason they should have the right to murder or kill, and then you got a whole bunch of other people, police running around talking about, I am Darren Wilson. So you are a murdering, racist, ignorant, trifling, roguish taught